Hello, and welcome to Benny's Alternate Universe. Once again, having the phone issues, the storage issues, but it's good because I tend to talk a little too much, and I don't want to talk too much about the mighty Edward Van Halen. This is a place where we pay tribute and we celebrate the life of Eddie Van Halen, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, and the more I think about it, probably the greatest electric guitarist of all time. His only competition being Jimi Hendrix, in my opinion, and probably a lot of people's opinions. I want to wear my MTV hat so I can get the Van Halen look, but I also want you guys to see my face. I have long hair now. I haven't cut my hair since quarantine started. That's neither here nor there. The only competition for Eddie Van Halen as king of electric guitar would be Jimi Hendrix, because he is the only person who has brought that level of innovation to that many people on such a big level. I have a lot of guitarists that I love. You know, I'm a big guitar geek. I love Angus Young. He's not that much of an innovator. I love Thurston Moore and Lee Ronaldo of Sonic Youth. They didn't reach that many people, and so on and so forth. So we're going to take it back to where it all began. We've already talked about Van Halen on the show because Van Halen is one of my favorite bands since I was a little kid. I can remember being 5 and jumping to Jump and jump off the couch and all that. But in 1978, Van Halen came on the scene with their incredible, fantastic debut album, Van Halen, one of the best debut albums of all time. I want to show off my Van Halen 2 swag. I had this set up, but the lighting, as usual, is not too good. Maybe I can even get a shot of my Van Halen glamour pick from inside of Fair Warning. I have every David Lee Roth album either on cassette or vinyl, and I may just go ahead and review them all for a little tribute segment. But the first album, it was produced, of course, by Ted Templeman, who's a longtime collaborator with Van Halen, and they've done some amazing work together. I love the production of this album because it's very, very bare bones, and that was part of the Templeman style. He really didn't double guitars, which is great because Eddie's such an awesome guitarist. It's really nice to hear just exactly what he's doing, and I'm sure that helped the generation of guitarists that would come to the fore in the wake of this album to try and cop some of his styles and techniques and be the next Van Halen, which of course nobody was, because there can only be one Van Halen. Just in the same token as Van Halen was not the next Jimi Hendrix, he was the first Van Halen. I would say Stevie Ray Vaughan was the next Jimi Hendrix because he copped a great deal of his style from Hendrix. And with all due respect to Stevie Ray Vaughan, he's a fantastic guitarist, not really a huge innovator in my opinion. Not like Van Halen, who was always tinkering with the sounds and the technique. The first song, Running with the Devil, and this is a pattern that they would repeat on Van Halen 2, begins with the rhythm section. Very simple bass line. Boom, 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 boom. And then you hear that Van Halen riff kick in. And Eddie Van Halen is certainly very highly rated among guitarists, but he is not always ranked as a rhythm guitarist so much as a lead guitarist, just because he created so many new techniques and styles on lead guitar. But he's a fantastic rhythm guitarist too, and he's one of the best riff writers in all of rock and roll. So, Running with the Devil, classic riff. As we listen to this album, you know, it's just gonna be hit after hit. This Ain't Talking About Love. After Running with the Devil, he goes into the famous guitar solo, Eruption. I think this cemented his reputation as at that time, the kid to watch, because Eruption showed off a lot of his new techniques. I mean, we could sit here all day and talk about Van Halen 1. It's just such a great album. I want to say that aside from Ain't Talking About Love, aside from Ice Cream Man, actually, Ice Cream Man is my least favorite song in the album, so let's not get into that. The deep cuts, I'm the One is really cool. That's an upbeat, just, you know, come on baby, I'm the one, give it to me. I don't know, every song just has great playing from both Eddie and Alex. David Lee Roth is in full ham mode. and he's wonderful. We love David Lee Roth. He's so funny and ridiculous. And he also, has that hardcore thing going that we talked about in previous episodes that Sammy Hagar did not and does not. Ain't Talking About Love is definitely a prime example, and one of my favorite Van Halen songs from side 2, Atomic Punk. Allegedly, David Lee Roth was involved in the punk scene in LA from very early on, and that's where he got the inspiration for the song Atomic Punk. However, in 1978, how much of a punk scene was there in LA? I don't know. So this may be a little bit of revisionist storytelling from David Lee Roth, who's not above telling a whopper now and then. We love him for it. What else? Jamie's Crying was a big hit. We all know that. Feel Your Love Tonight was a medium hit. It's interesting to note that this album was originally recorded by Gene Simmons of Kiss, who was a big fan of Van Halen and really believed in them, financed their recordings, and but unfortunately it was just not quite good enough to land them a record deal at that time, and they ended up working with Ted Templeman, which of course was great because he would go on to work with them for years throughout all their David Lee Roth albums, and even onto 5150 and maybe even OU812. I'm not sure, I'd have to look that up. Last thing I wanted to talk about here in Van Halen 1 is the song Little Dreamer. Little Dreamer is definitely one of my favorite Van Halen songs. It may be my actual favorite Van Halen song. I know it's kind of a, I don't know, so many great Van Halen tunes to be had, and it's kind of a weird one, just because it's not that upbeat, it's not that shred oriented, but it's just such an awesome song. Something about Little Dreamer I find very moving. Reminds me of myself when I was young, and my daughter now, and it's just a great song of youthfulness, rebellion, hope, despair. It's an awesome song, Little Dreamer, and I'm really glad that it's on here, and it shows that side of Van Halen, because they are known as just a very crazy, high energy, flashy, glittery, glammy, whatever you want to call it, bands that's, like Ferraris and all that, and they're all American rock and roll band, for better or worse. So yeah, that's Van Halen 1 in a nutshell. Eddie Van Halen, the greatest guitarist of all time. May he rest in peace. His name will be spoken forevermore whenever electric guitars are mentioned. And I just want to say on a side note, I went to see my doctor yesterday, and I talked to her about some solutions and some strategies that we're going to try to help me quit smoking, because 65 is too young for us to lose the greatest guitarist of all time. I don't know what he would have done in the next 10 or 20 years, but I do know that it was a direct result of him being a heavy